What if Jeffrey Epstein didn't die in jail? What if the world was misled, and he's still alive somewhere today? Today we're diving into the Epstein case. The facts, the missing evidence, and the conspiracy theories that refuse to go away. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier whose name became infamous due to allegations of sex trafficking and abuse involving minors, many of whom were allegedly brought to properties owned or affiliated with him. Epstein's wealth, connections to powerful political and business figures, and earlier legal experience made his story controversial long before his final arrest. Born in 1953, Epstein built a career in finance, eventually establishing his own firm. Over the years, he cultivated relationships with politicians, royalty, academics, and celebrities. Some saw him as a mysterious figure. Others viewed him as someone who used his power to attract influential individuals. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested by federal prosecutors in New York on charges of sex trafficking minors. The indictment alleged that, for years, Epstein ran a network that recruited underage girls for sexual activities, often at his properties in Manhattan and Palm Beach. The arrest reignited public outrage, because Epstein had previously evaded significant punishment in 2008 under a controversial non-prosecution agreement that many critics called the sweetheart deal. Following his 2019 arrest, Epstein was held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center (MCC) in New York. While awaiting trial, the conditions and handling of high-profile detainees at MCC had already drawn scrutiny, and Epstein's presence intensified media and public attention. On August 10, 2019, the Bureau of Prisons reported that Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell early that morning. He was transported to a hospital and later pronounced dead. The official ruling from the New York City Medical Examiner's Office was suicide by hanging. Multiple law enforcement agencies released statements confirming the basic sequence of events surrounding his death. These findings, arrest, incarceration, and death, are the verified facts based on official reports from the Department of Justice, Bureau of Prisons, the Medical Examiner, and independent news investigations. What remains contentious and fuels debate are the details surrounding the conditions of his detention, the motivations of his connections, and the unanswered questions about how and why events unfolded as they did. One of the most persistent elements in the speculation around Epstein's death concerns the surveillance footage from the Metropolitan Correctional Center on the night he died. Given that MCC is a federal detention facility in Manhattan, it is equipped with multiple cameras in hallways and common areas. Investigators expected to find video evidence that could clarify what happened in the hours leading up to Epstein's death. However, when reporters and the public asked about the footage, what emerged was not clear. Uninterrupted surveillance. Department of Justice communications and witness accounts indicated that there were gaps in the video recordings from the relevant time period. Specifically, more than 3 hours of footage from cameras in the corridor outside Epstein's cell were reported to be either unavailable or unusable. The exact cause of these gaps, whether equipment, malfunction, human error, or another explanation, has not been definitively established publicly. There were reports that some cameras in the MCC experienced technical problems, and that staff shortages at the facility contributed to lapses in monitoring. Federal prosecutors and later court filings acknowledged issues with equipment and staffing that could explain why certain recordings were incomplete. However, because the missing footage overlaps with the critical hours on the night Epstein died, the absence of clear video has become one of the key reasons people question the official narrative. This missing footage is not proof of wrongdoing, but it creates ambiguity. For many viewers, especially in a case involving a high-profile detainee with powerful connections, the lack of transparent visual documentation raises suspicions. People naturally want to see a continuous record of events in situations where the outcome is contested or surprising. The speculation around missing CCTV also highlights broader issues about surveillance, accountability, and institutional transparency. When footage that the public expects to exist is missing, it invites questions. But it's important to note, there is no verified evidence that the footage was intentionally destroyed to conceal a cover-up. The official explanation points to equipment malfunction and procedural lapses, although critics argue those explanations have not been fully substantiated. Why do conspiracy theories about Jeffrey Epstein just refuse to go away? It's a question that gets to the heart of how we process shocking events involving powerful people. When official stories feel incomplete, our minds naturally try to fill in the gaps, and the Epstein case is a perfect storm for this. Let's break down why these theories are so persistent. First, Humans are hardwired to look for patterns and explanations. When something as disturbing as the Epstein case happens, involving world leaders, celebrities, and financial elites, it's natural to feel that there must be a larger, hidden story. The sheer scale of his connections creates a breeding ground for speculation. When the official narrative doesn't answer every single question, alternative ones rush in to fill that void. Second, a lack of transparency is like fuel for suspicion. Think about it. The missing CCTV footage from his cell, the conflicting reports from officials, and the news about guards sleeping on the job. All these details contribute to a feeling that we're not getting the full picture. Even if the real reason is just incompetence or a series of unfortunate mistakes, the absence of clear, verifiable information allows people to imagine the worst-case scenarios. It is easier for some to believe in a cover-up than in a colossal failure of the system. Third, we have to talk about the role of the internet. Social media algorithms are designed to keep us engaged, and what's more engaging than a sensational claim? A simple, shocking statement like Epstein didn't kill himself can travel across the globe in minutes. People share it, add their own twists, and build on the narrative. What starts as a simple question or a piece of speculation can quickly morph into a complex, detailed theory that seems plausible to many. So what are some of these theories? One popular idea is that Epstein was secretly removed from his jail cell and is now living in hiding somewhere. A variation of this suggests the body found was a stand-in and his death was staged. Another major category of theories focuses on motive. The idea here is that Epstein had compromising information on powerful people, and those individuals had a strong reason to silence him before he could ever testify. This is pure speculation, of course. It assumes this compromising material actually exists, and that these powerful figures would orchestrate such a high-stakes operation. Ultimately, experts point out that conspiracy theories don't need hard evidence to thrive. They just need ambiguity, a strong emotional hook, and an audience that's ready to listen. The Epstein case, with all its elements of secrecy, power, and tragedy, provides all of those things in abundance. It's a modern mystery where the line between fact and fiction has become incredibly blurry for many. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into complex topics. Among the many narratives circulating online is the idea that Jeffrey Epstein did not die in 2019 but instead vanished and is currently living in Israel. This claim is typically found on fringe social media, blog posts, and user-generated videos, rather than in reputable news coverage or official documentation. Where did this idea come from? In most cases, it stems from combining a few elements. Epstein's connections, speculation about escape, and a general distrust in institutions. However, when we examine these claims critically, we find no credible evidence that Epstein is alive in Israel or any other country. There are no verified sightings, official records, or credible investigative reports placing him anywhere after his reported death in 2019. Intelligence agencies, law enforcement, and journalists with access to serious investigative tools have not provided substantiation for these assertions. Rumors about Epstein in Israel also tap into broader themes, often seen in online conspiracy communities, such as distrust of institutions, speculative interpretations of power dynamics, and geopolitical storytelling. They're a form of modern myth-making rather than factual reporting. When producing content about this topic, it's crucial to emphasize that these are unverified rumors. Presenting them as fact would mislead your audience and undermine your credibility. Instead, frame them as examples of how and why speculation grows in the absence of full transparency. In short, the claim Epstein is living in Israel is not supported by credible evidence. It reflects how people fill informational gaps with narratives that resonate emotionally or ideologically. Responsible discussion requires distinguishing verified facts from online speculation. After reviewing the confirmed facts, the missing evidence, and the range of theories, we arrive at an important distinction. What is verified versus what is speculative, according to official sources, including the Bureau of Prisons, the U.S. Department of Justice, and the Medical Examiner's Office. Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in his Manhattan jail cell on August 10, 2019. These conclusions are based on autopsy results, institutional reports, and statements from government agencies. This remains the only account supported by documented evidence. Despite this, many people continue to question the narrative, the missing CCTV footage, incomplete monitoring procedures at the detention center, and Epstein's powerful connections leave some feeling that the official story doesn't fully explain everything. This discomfort is understandable. When details are unclear, people look for answers. However, ambiguous information does not equal proof of a cover-up. Gaps in surveillance footage, technical issues, and even bureaucratic missteps are not unusual in large institutions. They are frustrating, but do not automatically imply a hidden escape or clandestine survival. Rumors that Epstein is alive, living in Israel, or that a body double was used are part of a broader set of internet-driven narratives. These ideas spread because they are dramatic, emotionally resonant, and because social media amplifies sensational content. But as of now, there is no verified evidence that Epstein survived his reported death. There are no credible photos, documents, or investigative reports showing him alive after August 2019. Claims about life in another country remain unconfirmed rumors. When discussing contentious topics, especially in a public YouTube video, clarity and honesty are essential. Your audience deserves a narrative grounded in verified information, with speculation clearly labeled as such. This approach builds trust and encourages critical thinking without dismissing legitimate questions. In the end, the enduring fascination with Epstein's case is about more than one man. It is about power, secrecy, justice, and public trust. Whether Epstein's death is seen as complete fact or a part of a larger mystery depends on how we weigh evidence, question institutions, and interpret the unknown.